ARD.
A wreck that once carried a deadly cargo has become a place of fascinating encounters. With a grumpy-looking but friendly character, a playful mammal sporting a melon, and above all, the greatest knight of the seas. The province of Nova Scotia extends along the Atlantic coast of Canada. A peninsula with numerous bays, small islets, and only sparsely populated. Anyone living here will mainly make a living from fishing. In the ports, lobster catchers are waiting for their next trip. Lobsters were once so plentiful in these waters that they were regarded as food for poor people. Navigating through this craggy island environment is extremely risky. Although numerous beacons point the way, they can't prevent every accident when visibility is poor. In Chedabucto Bay, for example, there is Cerberus Rock, as dangerous as the Hound of Hades after which it was named. In 1970, it claimed a tanker belonging to the Onassis Shipping Company. On the 4th of February, the Arrow ran aground on the rocks and broke up. 11,000 tons of heavy oil were released, a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. The oil polluted 370 kilometers of the coast, countless islets and small bays. Numerous helpers tried to soak up the oil with sphagnum moss, but only 10% of the coast was cleaned up. This, the country's first severe oil spill, caught the inhabitants completely unawares. And yet today, the bay appears as if nothing had happened. Below the water, much has changed, most of it for the good. Nature has repossessed the wreck of the tanker. Countless seaweeds, algae, and sessile underwater creatures, such as frilled and other anemones and sponges, have more or less taken control. The wrecked ship has developed into an underwater jungle of a kind not frequently encountered in this region. With its innumerable nooks and crannies, it offers something not often found underwater: hiding places. This miraculous transformation has been made possible by the powerful tidal currents experienced here. They have repeatedly brought new microorganisms to the scene of the accident, and these have gradually broken down the oil. Today, the wreck is a perfect paradise for the American lobster. Cheeky gold-cinny wrasse extract food residues from its pincers. Fish are not usually on the lobster's menu, but if these scavengers get too annoying, it is likely to react. Discretion being the better part of valor, the wrasse give it a miss. With its massive claws, that are its first pair of legs, it would have no difficulty dissecting a fish. The other 5 pairs of legs are used for walking, which includes elegant changes in direction as needed. A competitor? This one is too small and knows it. The younger one keeps a respectful distance. Although no two lobsters are identical, they do have one thing in common. In the saucepan, they all go red when the other colour pigments are destroyed. Thanks to the buoyancy provided by the water, lobsters, which can easily weigh 8 pounds, are remarkably fleet of foot. On land, these knights of the deep are hardly able to move in their heavy armour plates. This rotting lobster trap is no danger anymore to this lobster. There is no more fishing directly around the wreck. The danger of the traps getting entangled is too great. However, seen in relation to Nova Scotia as a whole, lobster fishing is still one of the most important fishing activities. The wreck thus also offers protection to the lobster from its most feared hunters, people. Our armoured knight surmounts obstacles in a way that is almost elegant, thanks to the many joints in its armour plating. But something is causing it to be careful. It can hardly be the Goldsony wrasse on the floor above. With its mighty claws that make up nearly half its body length, which may be as much as half a metre, older lobsters like this one have virtually no predators to worry about. So what have its stalk eyes seen? What smell have its fine-tuned feelers picked up? This colleague of the same species, but it's smaller and just as nervous. This is what the two lobsters have identified: a wolffish. This predator, over a metre long, has a terrifying set of teeth and can break open clams, sea urchins and arthropods with ease. But with all due respect, this fish shouldn't even be in this territory. The wolffish is a fierce competitor. It hunts the same prey as the lobsters and likes to take command of the coveted hiding places. This is a rather half-hearted attempt to intimidate the Knight of the Deep. The fish would rather not get involved with this opponent after all. The encounter between a starfish and an anemone would appear to be more harmless, but this too is about life and death. If a sessile sea anemone gives up its home base and decides to move house in its own special way, there must be danger looming. As soon as a starfish detects anything edible with its innumerable tube feet, the predator will not waste any time in devouring its prey, whether it's an anemone, snail, or clam. The decision as to which is the hunter and which the hunted is often a matter of size. It's not difficult to see who should be afraid of whom here. Clams have eyes too, lots of them. That was close. Some clams have other rather surprising skills. If the sandgaper clam feels it's in danger, it just hops it. Once distracted, the hunter becomes a victim. Beauty, so they say, lies in the eye of the beholder. And some wreck divers only come here for one reason: to meet what must be the predator fish with the ugliest face. In fact, the wolffish has a rather remarkable characteristic besides its appearance. For a fish, it's unusually affectionate and not at all aggressive. Quite the contrary. Many a diver has made friends with his or her local wolffish. The reason for this apparent display of affection is actually more trivial. Wolffish react to any fine change in temperature, and they like warmth. For them, the extended hands are nothing more than a welcome source of warmth. On top of that, the fish living around the wreck are almost never hunted. Elsewhere, they're already considered overfished. Our lobster is now back on the road. He's looking for a female that's ready to mate. This involves crossing many a cliff, which enables him to demonstrate that when swimming, lobsters are not top-heavy, as was believed for a long time. Maintaining one's balance with two very large asymmetrical claws is an acquired skill. The smaller claw is for catching, and the larger one is the crusher claw, which could easily cut through a calf's leg bone. At least the thick layer of algae makes for a soft landing. But the lobster does not hang around long. He hasn't found what he's looking for yet. Chedabucto Bay is one of the most biodiverse marine regions in eastern Canada. One reason for this is its rich supply of nutrients. The many rivers that flow into the bay collect them on their long journey from the interior of the country and finally deposit them in the bay. Where Chedabucto Bay is today, there used to be meandering rivers like this one. The bay was created as the ancient river system was flooded a long time ago by rises in the sea level. These waters are still relatively unpolluted by toxins and ideal spawning grounds for salmon. As they migrate, these fish do not have to traverse any large waterfalls as they would elsewhere. The gradient is very gentle. Atlantic salmon males are identifiable by their hooked jaw or cape. This feature develops prior to the spawning season to impress the females. The fish spend the first few days in the estuaries to allow their bodies to acclimatize to the change from salt water to fresh water. Only then do they set off on their great migration. Some of the salmon will travel more than 50 kilometers up the rivers to their place of birth, where they spawn. On their way back to the sea, many of the exhausted fish will die. Easy pickings for the bald eagle. Down in the bay, a completely different spectacle is developing. Nearly every summer, humpback whales and their young visit Nova Scotia. They're also attracted by the sheer abundance of food. The calves were born many thousands of kilometers south in the Caribbean, but in those warm waters the food supply is much sparser. In the first year, the bond between mother and child is very close. The babies, which are 4 meters long at birth, are suckled for 10 months. Humpback whales have baleen plates attached in their mouths. These plates are used to filter small crustaceans or krill from the water, but also some fish. However, individual fish would not be much use. It would have to be a large shoal of fish. The whales simply swim through the mass of krill with their mouths open and take in several hundred kilos at a time. Some animals that live exclusively on land also benefit from the plentiful supplies of food in the bay. Black bears. This female has caught the scent of another bear. She's concerned. That male may be a source of danger for her cub, but the male is busy doing something else. A New World porcupine who feels it's time to make an exit. Although he's good at protecting himself, his tail carries up to 30,000 quills and is used like a club. Rather than face that particular hazard, the bear decides not to pursue the porcupine, even though bears are good tree climbers. But the barbed quills deployed by the droll little character tend to get embedded in its opponent's skin and work their way deeper into its flesh with every movement, an exceedingly painful process. This time, the porcupine, which is classed as a rodent, does not have to deploy its weapons. The bear is now looking for easier prey. Maybe there are still some salmon in the river. The female bear can also relax again. The male is obviously busy elsewhere. In the harbour, the lobster catchers' boats are still tied up. During the summer months, those large crustaceans enjoy a closed season to prevent them being overfished. Expensive fishing licenses are in place for the same reason. 50 years ago, sustainability was not an issue. In those days, fishermen in Nova Scotia alone hauled 22 million pounds of lobster on deck. Today, the lobster population throughout Nova Scotia is considered to be stable. The wreck of the sunken oil tanker has other attractions to offer besides numerous lobsters. White whales, also known as beluga whales, frequently visit the bay. Normally, these 4-meter whales are at home further north, but they too are attracted by the mass of food found here. Unlike humpback whales, they have no baleen plates, but teeth instead. They search the seabed for crabs and clams, but also hunt fish. Belugas are well known for being extremely playful and trusting, far more so than most other whales. For wreck divers, making contact with them is relatively easy, provided the whales have not had negative experiences in the past. Wilma, a female beluga whale, became famous when she first appeared in the bay in 1993 and attracted crowds of spectators. Like this new visitor, she also loved to play with the chains attached to the buoys, maybe because they like the rattling sound. Behind her forehead protuberance hides an organ of fat and connective tissue called the melon. This is an echolocation organ that receives ultrasound signals produced by the whale for orientation purposes. Playful and trusting as they are, belugas were the ideal candidates for dolphinariums, a fate fortunately shared by fewer and fewer animals today. Gradually, the realization is gaining ground that the keeping of intelligent whales in small pools can never be species appropriate. This beluga, on the other hand, can freely decide whether it wants to make contact with people and when. When it's had enough, it swims away. Our lobster is now in a precarious situation. He has followed the scent of a female, but now our competitor is barring his way. He tries to get the other's antennas, a cinch for his razor-sharp claws. But the opponent has the same weapons at his disposal. The suit of armor makes sure that there is virtually no unprotected body part accessible to a rival, which is why both are trying to turn the other upside down. But in almost every case, one of the two will retreat before something serious happens. Although lobsters can throw off injured limbs and regenerate them, this costs time and energy. The female takes advantage of the dispute to leave the scene. It was not the rivals fighting that caused her to leave. She had some other pressing business that couldn't wait. In the depths of the wreck, the female lobster finds what she so urgently needs: a hiding place. The male lobster has succeeded in seeing off his rival, and now he has a new task: guarding the female's hideout and not letting anyone else approach. The female lobster would otherwise be helplessly at the mercy of a predator as she begins to shed her shell. Lobsters can only grow by molting their shell from time to time and replacing it with a new one. The older they get, the less they need to molt. The female has already produced the new shell and must now shed her old armor. The male will have to wait. Molting takes several hours and is exhausting for the animal. The lobsters can only mate in the short time between shedding the old shell and the new shell hardening. Will the male succeed in making use of this window of opportunity? "11 months pass. Life on the wreck continues as normal. The stinging tentacles of this jellyfish are a serious trap for any animal that gets caught in them, even for small lobsters. After successful mating, the female carried her eggs well sheltered under her abdomen for several months. But now is the time for the small lobster larvae to leave the shelter of their mother's body. When they hatch, they are only a few millimeters long and completely devoid of armor protection. The mother will not now stay to guard them, but will be on her way. The baby lobsters do not begin to look like lobsters until they've molted 4 times, when they will sink to the seabed and continue to grow. Before that, they will frolic in the upper layers of the water. As many as 2,000 tiny lobsters hatch in a single night. This is the moment the gold cineras have been waiting for. Very few larvae will survive this onslaught. Those who escape, however, will develop, over the course of many years and with numerous molts, into true knights of the deep, well equipped to take on almost any opponent. Protected by the tanker wreck, they have excellent chances of never landing in a cooking pot, and may even reach a biblical age of over 100 years. It may be some compensation for the fact that the same tanker almost completely destroyed Chedabucto Bay. The environment has recovered in a miraculous way, but immense care must be taken not to challenge nature again a second time.